Gopi Jana Baba Girivara Yadoranandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Astoda Satishi Shimada Sabami Grace, Swami Viskana Bhai Charanada Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki, Dear most merciful Lordship, Shri Shriharakunda Bihari Ki, Shri Divyananda Shri Baladev Mahi Subhadra Ki, Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Gornitai Ki, Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. We are reading today from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 14. Hiranyam Gam Mahim Graman Hiranyam Gam Mahim Graman Asti Aswan Nirpatir Varan Astyasvan Nirpatir Varan Pradat Svanam Cha Viprabhya Pradat Svanam Cha Viprabhya Raja Tirte Sa Tirtavit Raja Tirte Sa Tirtavit Hiranyam Gamahim Graman Hiranyam Gamahim Graman
Hiranyam Gamahim Graman
Astyasvan Nipatirvaran
Astyasvan Nrupatirvaran
Astyasvan Nipatirvaran
Astyasvan Nrupatirvaran
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Rajatirte satirtavit
Rajatirte satirtavit
Rajatirte satirtavit
Rajatirte satirtavit
Please chant.
Hiranyam Gamahim Graman
Hiranyam Gamahim Graman
Astyasvan Nrupatirvaran
Astyasvan Nirpatirvaran
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya
Rajatirte satirtavit
Rajatirte satirtavit Hiranyam Gamahim Gramam Astyasvan Nirpatirvaran Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya Prajatirte satirtavit Hiranyam
Hiranyam
gold
gold
Gam
Gam
cows
cows
Mahim
Mahim
land
land
Graman
Graman
villages
villages
Asti
Asti
elephants
elephants
Ashvan
Aswan
horses
horses
Nirpati
Nirpati
the king
the king
Dwaran
Varan
rewards
rewards
Pradat
Pradat
gave in charity
gave in charity
Suanam
Swanam
good food
good
grains
food grains
Cha
Cha
and
and
Viprebhya
Viprebhya
unto the Brahmins
unto the Brahmanas
Prajatirte
Rajatirte
on the occasion of giving charity on the birthday of a son.
on the occasion of giving in charity on the birthday of a son.
Sa
Sa
he Tirtavit,
Tirtavit,
one who knows how, when, and where charity is to be given.
one who knows how, when, and where charity is to be given.
Hiranyam Gamahim Graman Astyasvan Nirpatirvaran Pradatsvanam cha viprebhya Prajatirte satirtavit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Upon the birth of a son, the king, who knew how, where, and when charity should be given, gave gold, land, villages, elephants, horses, and good food grains to the Brahmins. Please repeat. Upon the birth of a son,
Upon the birth of a son,
the king,
the king,
who knew how, where, and when
who knew how, where, and when
charity should be given,
charity should be given,
gave gold,
gave gold,
land,
land,
villages,
villages,
elephants,
elephants,
horses, and good food grains to the Brahmins.
horses, and good food grains to the Brahmanas.
Upon the birth of a son, the king, who knew how, where, and when charity should be given, gave gold, land, villages, elephants, horses, and good food grains to the Brahmins. Purport by His Divine Grace of I, Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Only the Brahmins and sannyasis are authorized to accept charity from the householders. In all the different occasions of Shastra samskars, especially during the time of birth, marriage, and death, wealth is distributed to the Brahmins, because the Brahmins give the highest quality of service in regard to the prime necessity of humankind. The charity was substantial in the shape of gold, land, villages, horses, elephants, and food grains, with other materials for cooking, complete foodstuff. The Brahmins were not, therefore, poor in the actual sense of the term. On the contrary, because they possessed gold, land, villages, horses, elephants, and sufficient grains, they had nothing to earn for themselves. They would simply devote themselves to the well-being of the entire society. The word tirtavit is significant because the king knew well where and when charity has to be given. Charity is never unproductive or blind. In the Shastras, charity was offered to persons who deserved to accept charity by dint of spiritual enlightenment, the so-called Daridra Narayan. A misconception of the Supreme Lord by unauthorized persons is never to be found in the Shastras as the object of charity. Nor can a wretched poor man receive much munificent charity in the way of horses, elephants, land, and villages. The conclusion is that the intelligent men, or the Brahmins, specifically engaged in the service of the Lord, were properly maintained without anxiety for the needs of the body. And the king and other householders gladly looked after all their comforts. It is enjoined in the Shastras that as long as a child is joined with the mother by the navel pipe, the child is considered to be one body with the mother. But as soon as the pipe is cut and the child is separated from the mother, the purificatory process of jata karma is performed. The administrative demigods and past forefathers of the family come to see a newly born child. Such an occasion is specifically accepted as the proper time for distributing wealth to the right persons, productively for the spiritual advancement of society. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. For the most part in society, when we see beggars out on the street asking for money for their subsistence, a great many of them are out there begging for money to have some form of sense gratification that they use the money for. And in many times it is for the sake of intoxication, more so than food and clothes. But our philosophy includes within it charity in that which the Brahmins receive from the general class of people in the form of charity, in the form of foodstuffs. Then, by the contributions being made to the Brahmins offering that to Krishna now, it takes on a whole nother value, that what is given to Brahmins becomes more valuable than it was when it was given. So this is the value of giving charity to the right person, for the right cause, at the right time. So we are pretty much open to donations all the time, but as we can see here, this is how Brahmins are supported. And it's explained here as well that they don't find themselves requiring anything more than what is provided, that is used in the temple to make offerings with. And then the Brahmins accept that as sustenance for the continuance of their existence. So I was speaking earlier about, we have 4 different classes within all societies of the world. We have the working class that are engaged in the maintenance and working of the roads, cleaning of the city, and construction of the city. These kinds of labors are being done in every city in the world. Then we have the administrative class who are making the laws, giving guidance for the construction class to be able to be ruled by peacefully, so they can get along with one another, and so that funds can be gathered for the welfare of all, that those funds that are collected communally in the form of taxes by the administrative class are doing that for the benefit of the people. so that those things that they could not provide for themselves individually, society can provide by the collection of taxes. So this creates schools, constructs buildings for the administration of the court systems and all like this. But now we see there's also a mercantile class which uses the products that it creates as a means of exchange. And this current society, we're using money as a means of representation, of having value in the form of a piece of paper. But ultimately this allows for cheating. And there is so much counterfeit money. There's so much counterfeit money going on that it offsets the value of money. As well, many times when people are found to be carrying large sums of money, it's immediately suspected by authorities that they must be involved with drugs or something.
Yes.
When they put these dogs that they have trained to smell drugs on the person's possessions, if the person is carrying money with them and the dog smells drugs on the money, 60% of the money in circulation has been exposed to drugs. They use it to put it up their nose and so many things like that. So sometimes people are being convicted of crimes they're not guilty of because of the association of what they're carrying with them that has been previously exposed. So getting back though to the point of one class of society, the Brahmins don't need money to function, because their function is to take that which is being offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then as their prayers are accepted, what they are offering transforms into that which is having a spiritual potency. And then that is what the Brahmins use as charity for all of society to benefit by. So we don't see those beggars out on the street as any lower or in need any more than anyone who is working in an office job and having a very prestigious position in society. Still, if they are not taking spiritual food, they are not getting the benefit that this human form of life is meant for human beings to be able to have. So both and all classes of people who are functioning within the society using the material energy of the Supreme Person, which is the external energy, without the means of being able to transform that energy themselves into spiritual energy, their efforts will only be of a temporary nature. And that ultimate benefit it gives at the end of this life still does not have the means of delivering it from the material energy. Only the engagement the soul finds itself in the spiritual energy of the Supreme Lord allows the soul that is in that spiritual energy to be joined with that spiritual environment after this life. So that's why we engage in devotional service as is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that those who are serving him with pure hearts, then he's recognizing that act of love. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajurveda. O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So the point Krishna is bringing to us in all of the Vedic literatures is that we have to get out. We have to get out of this material universe altogether. And very simply put, he clearly explains that to get out, we simply must engage in that spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in so doing, then, it gives us a taste, an experience of that consciousness which is being experienced by those who are in the eternal realm and have never left the eternal realm. Because now, that relationship we have developing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we become more and more accustomed to the Vedic customs, accustomed to the way of life that is considered normal and ordinary in the spiritual world, then, as ambassadors to the spiritual world, in effect, we're engaging in all of these activities as representation of what activities are being carried on in the spiritual world, so that people see us removed from the effects of karma, removed from the results of karmic activities. Then they can see there's a difference between what we call engaging in devotional service and working for one's own pleasure in the material world to hope to gain some great wealth here in this world. And so we can see there's big arguments within society as to one particular form of government only being able to be experienced in order for humankind to function properly. But as long as there are souls willing to surrender their lives in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who do not require money, working in cooperation with the government that is establishing the laws, which the Brahmins are themselves responsible for upholding the values of the Brahminical truths, and administering justice. Because presently, the proper administration of justice is not understood by humanity at large, who see the death sentence as extremely harsh punishment for those who engage in activities that require such. Because if you cannot control your body to keep itself from committing acts that are resulting in the death of other human beings, your death will prevent death. So if people are continually killing people, then killing them brings life to others, gives life to others, you can say. But here's another perspective that the criminals do not know, and they have to also be educated in. This capital punishment, when a person is deserving to die by that means, when it is administered properly by the state, then that soul that has to go through that punishment is relieved to some extent from the punishment they will have to suffer. Doesn't necessarily mean they will be totally relieved, because the taking of one life requires 7 lives of payment for the death of one. If you commit a murder, then you are responsible to have to pay back that life that you took 7 times. Now, this may seem like, why? I take 1 life and I have to give 7 lives? No. By taking 1 life, in fact, one can be stopping the birth of millions of souls.
Millions of souls?
Millions of souls. Because when you have a child, and that child has a child, and that child has children, and more children after that, every man has enough seed within his self-same body to populate the entire universe. But by the process we're using now, we are very limited in our ability to produce progeny. And the planets now don't seem to be in a state of requiring population as they did in the beginning of the creation of the universe. But as living entities live in sinful activities, it is to the detriment of humanity. And so it restricts the advancement society as a whole should be making. Because if society as a whole is working towards a goal, and they have a common goal, then any deterrent from that, people running away from the responsibility of holding up their end of that, distracts from the totality of what would be experienced when everyone is taking part. So the way we have it now, freedom is being looked at as for everyone to have the ability to work independent of others and do basically whatever they want within the restrictions of the laws. But this is not Krishna consciousness. This is not the way for society to function with one purpose and have the experience of family and true love as a binding force of society. Love being an eternal force. True love being that not based upon the return one gets from one's activities, based on the desire to satisfy the object of one's love. So if I love you with all my heart, then I will do everything I can to make life comfortable for you and make you able to prosper and do well. So if we love God with all of our hearts, and we develop that attitude by study of God's life, Krishna gives us a vision into the short time he spent here. I was analyzing today in my mind this position Lord Chaitanya has now in the universe, being worshipped by all the demigods. So we are saying that the golden age is going to last for 10,000 years. But where Lord Chaitanya is, time is of a different nature. So when we perform arti, it takes about 23 minutes for a whole arti. So I'm considering this 10,000 year period where Lord Brahma is, that may be like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. May not even be 10 minutes. I don't know. I like to calculate that and see how long this 10,000 year period lasts, and if it corresponds with Lord Chaitanya getting off of the throne, similar to Lord Krishna getting off of the chariot. What happened with the chariot? Destroyed. So see, that's what's going to happen when Lord Chaitanya gets off the throne. Then there will be no more Krishna consciousness. That will be the end of the golden age in Kali Yuga. And there will be no more religion on the planet. So, but this happens at the turn of every Kali Yuga. But I don't know that Krishna comes personal to visit. He comes once in a day of Lord Brahma. So that means we have had the very supreme, divine, excellent time to be born in, such a time when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by way of keeping track of his time, he's just come. 5,000 days ago by the demigods, but by Krishna's way of keeping track of time is just a few moments ago.
It's a tiny moment, it seems, Prabhu. That 10,000 years, like it's a tiny moment of
Yeah.
Nothing in seconds.
So it may be 23 minutes in Brahma's time. We'll
Moments,
see.
Prabhu. Not even, like it's like very 0.0000231 day of Brahma. So it's like very far, like 2.31 into 10 power minus 6 means it's almost like fraction of seconds or something for us.
10,000 years
Yeah.
is a fraction of time.
From Brahma seconds.
So that means Lord Chaitanya, he's only there for a second or so. Krishna sits down and gets up. I'm gonna have to ask Krishna about this kind of thing, situation. And I'm still, see, this is a vision given to Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Lord Chaitanya being seated on a golden throne and being worshipped by demigods. Now, because it is Vaishnava practice now to sing that song, I cannot help but believe that this is actually the true thing that has happened. And it is a vision given by Krishna. So, similarly, when we're chanting, Krishna is saying, concentrate on the end of your nose. But ultimately what we're doing is we're cutting off our connection to the world. And in the same way that Krishna has given a vision to those Sanjay, he gave a vision to, as if he was right there on the battlefield. Well, we don't have a battlefield right now that we need to see. But there is a form of Krishna at the bottom of this universe who Krishna reveals to us by the words in the Shrimadbhagavatam, who is able to be seen by the mind. Much in this same way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but is it a course of his association with Krishna, that Krishna gives him this vision. So, with our endeavors to be a part of Krishna's movement and to understand Krishna as he is. So when we read Bhagavatam describing that he is laying on Sheshanag at the bottom of this universe, it creates in our minds a picture. So, all of these conceptualizations that our mind is being led to conceive then, it is being pushed into the reality of things as they are, which we would have no means of knowing what to think about without these descriptions being given to us. So we are in great need. See, when we leave the body, there are living beings leaving the body that do not know they're dead. They don't know they're leaving the body. They have a way of finding out by the fact that they can't communicate with the people they can see. But in ghostly bodies, they have no means of communicating. So it's a form of punishment. But because of the fact that they are removed from that body and the ability to satisfy the senses of that body, it puts them at a higher level even than human beings. As high as we are thinking of ourselves on the chain of spiritual advancement as human beings, still we are very low on the chain of advancement from the universal perspective. This form that we have taken here is the lowest kind of human being that there is. So this reveals also the mercy of Krishna, that even though we have been forced by nature or come by choice to desire the kind of pleasures these bodies so-called offer pleasure to, but by desire of that we've gotten these situations. So similarly, by the desire to know Krishna, by the desire to have Krishna's association, then Krishna himself will give to us that we long for and need more than we know. That's what the real crux of the matter is, that we are so much in need of things that we do not even know we need. And this is the state of the impersonalist. This is the state of the religionist who is being given part of the picture. And those who are following religions for purposes other than to develop pure love of God, they are being given a perception of who God is and what God demands of them, according to their ability to receive the knowledge and truth from God that they are opening themselves up to. Because if people are simply living for themselves, they will only receive knowledge through the screen of the false ego. And that taints everything. Because then if we can't get free from the false ego, we can't see things as it is. This is why, while we are on this planet, we can't see the universe for the way that it is. This is why we have to have, in order for us to even know where we are. Oh, we think of ourselves as being, we have an address that we have in our minds of a house that we live in, but that's not our home. And we are putting that as our home in our minds. And this is what the function of living in a temple or being under the protection and shelter of an institution like ISKCON allows us to, in our minds, realize this is not our permanent home. This is a temporary situation that's going to give us eternal relationship that can give us understanding and realization of that experience of eternalness related to that relationship we have with the Supreme Person, who is the perfection of everything. Coming to the knowledge of God, you come to surrender yourself to the Supreme, in whom all perfection can be found. And it is He who has brought you to himself. Krishna cares for us more than we care for ourselves. And this is why we enable ourselves to fall into the trap of lusty desires. It is evidence that God cares more for us than we care for ourselves, which is why the whips are there. And these senses can be used as whips to train us, to teach us what's good and what's bad. So we take things into this body that we're not supposed to, we'll get a result from it that will cause us pain and suffering. If we use this body for functions that it's not meant for, we will suffer the resultant end. And if we do not have the training to know what the resultant end should be, we will take the resultant end as pleasure, even though it may be that which will cause suffering. Now, this is the nature of alcohol. It seems like something to be tasted. It's cultured juices of fruits that you can savor the moment for by having a fruit that existed maybe 100 years ago, taking the juice from a fruit that existed 100 years ago. There's the idea in there that the land was at that time in a superior state so that you're getting something of great value. But the effects of the alcohol, because the alcohol is urinary waste of bacteria. And this is what people are taking into their bodies that totally upsets the digestive system. And then causing those problems with the digestive system, it affects the organs of the body. And so you can put food into pure alcohol and you can see that it will cook it. It will cook it, yeah. They call it pickled.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's a form of cooking. But with alcohol, it's a contaminating state. So it kills bacteria, good and bad. And in the body, there are many kinds, there are millions of kinds of bacteria inside the body. And alcohol kills them all. So you want a thorough cleansing of that which is beneficial to your digestion, then just drink alcohol. Our process is that we don't drink alcohol. You know, it might be contained in some forms of medicine, but minuscule to the amount necessary for the extraction of the benefits from the herbs. Krishna says, I am the healing herb. Not the pharmaceutical pill. He says, I am the healing herb. So we take from those herbs for the benefit of the physical body, but not to go about committing sinful activities. The only benefit there is in healing any body is that that body can be used in the service of the Supreme Personality, for whom all bodies are made. All bodies are made for God's purpose, God's will, to be done through them. And as much as the living entity rejects the idea of that, to that extent they find suffering in this world that is meant to guide them back onto the path that proves itself to have the worth that we are looking for in everything else. When we come to surrender to Krishna, chanting the holy names of Krishna, then we find the complete satisfaction of everything else we were looking for to find. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, being of a spiritual nature, is far superior to any vibration that can be created by anyone. Because Krishna, as he states in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has instilled all of his spiritual energy in the sound vibration of his names and his energy of love, his devotional energy of love, which he has towards all mankind, which he is requesting mankind to turn towards him the same way that he has it towards us. He comes in the form of a servant, and we want to be king. We want to be rulers. This is a false ego. I'm the ruler. I want to control everybody. I want everybody to do everything like I do. This is not God consciousness. And God is giving us and allowing us with the functions of the laws that be to be that which will ultimately bring us to the Supreme Person. But a person who is already connected can make that happen right now. To even become a human being takes millions of births. So how can we think to become eternally situated as a soul immersed in divine love, having nothing but love for the Supreme Person, can happen within a few short years? You have that idea, no? I'm going to get full of love for God in this one little lifetime spent, which when we get to that place of eternity, we will see this little tiny lifetime spent here as a moment, a very short passing of time. So we are at the brink of the most advanced stage of human development, of spiritual development, anywhere, in any universe, at any moment. We are always on the brink of that edge for the most advanced time, because we are always in the future of the last moment we lived, right? So this is the future. So Krishna has a plan for the future, and if we jump into that plan, then we will get the results of that plan. If we have to believe that the only plan we can live up to is that which we can make with our minds, then we will be subjected to the restraints and limitations of those dreams we create for ourselves, rather than submitting ourselves to the will of the Supreme Person who can put us anywhere, take us out of this world in a moment, and then put us right back again. And this is, by experience, we know this is happening because we have record of such great advanced souls such as Narad Muni, who is such a friendship and relationship with the Supreme Person. His abilities are unlimited. He goes anywhere. He can travel through the universe. He doesn't need a spaceship. Krishna gives him the ability with his body, with his soul, to be anywhere that his service is required. This is all due to his surrender, from the initial surrender. And so the limitations we have upon our own ability to experience pure love of God is only that restraint we keep ourselves from totally surrendering. So that little bit we have in our minds that I gotta have my way, want to do it my way. And that just keeps us that much more from being able to experience it Krishna's way, God's way, the most perfect way. I'm going to cut class a little early today because I do have to clean up the kitchen. Any comments, any questions, any realizations?
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks to know
Okay.
today, how important is the charity giving at the time of birth, and the king knows like whom to give and what time
Yeah.
charity and what to give charity to brahmanas and to their sustenance. Yeah.
See, it seems a little turned around when we see people suffering to think that by giving them money will do them benefit. But in many cases, the reason they are in the place of suffering is because of the misuse of the wealth when they had it. And so misuse of wealth is even a cause in Vedic culture for a person to be put to capital punishment, to be killed. The burning of a place of residence. What else? The raping of a woman is cause for a person to be put to death against her will when and so what else? The taking of another life. And when a person is put to death as a punishment for those things, then it alleviates the punishment because it's not just one life we pay for. If we take one life, you're going to have to pay 7 times for that life. Similarly, with suffering, the suffering we put others through. Now, in the case of a cow, because the cow, born in the mode of goodness, what being on the planet do we know that is born in the mode of goodness? This animal, everything that comes out of its body is for the benefit of human beings. Every whole. It has antiseptic qualities in its urine. Its stool is used as a means of putting that value which the chlorophyll that it digested is the closest thing there is to human blood. This chlorophyll is one atom away from being the same thing as hemoglobin. And so the cow takes this in the machine that its body is and creates milk. Milk is the causal juice the universe has in the bottom of it that brought all these manifestations into existence. Incarnations even of Krishna himself came out of that causal milk. So this food milk, which is being tampered with now, which would be for the benefit and health of all society, but because of the love of money, they want to disguise how much cream is in the milk. They want it to look all the same. To satisfy the eyes, they do this act to the milk that forces the protein and the fat together in such a way that your body doesn't even know what it is. And so society's leaning toward economic development more so than spiritual development causes all these functional problems in society that makes the entirety of society dysfunctional. And all the things that would otherwise be for its good end up as a destructive force. So people have allergies to milk. Why? Because they're messing with the milk. People have allergies to peanuts. Why? Because the same crops that they're growing tobacco on, which they're spraying over 200 chemicals on, which they've added to every year since they created this thing as a deterrent to bugs. From the research that's been done with the food crops that are eaten by bugs, that the bugs only eat the weak plants. The plants that are healthiest in the field build up a resistance to bugs. That's what keeps the bugs from being able to get some plants and others. And those that are left without being eaten by the bugs are the ones that are most healthy for human beings. But what we want to do is keep us from being able to discern that by killing the bugs before they get a chance to eat the weak ones. So then we end up eating the weak vegetables, but we don't know that's functioning. So this is how ignorance leads to our own destruction, leads to our own dissatisfaction with life, and our own misunderstanding of how life is supposed to be, and everything that is taken as meant for food is created for the benefit of human beings to gain nourishment by. But if mankind is manipulating the code originally put in every form of life to try and derive their own idea of what they think is perfect, when it's already perfect. You can't change these processes of ice melting, heat evaporating, all these different laws that exist in nature without suffering some end result from that is contrary to the way it was created. And if love created everything, everything is already perfect. But we have to work with it to see how to get the best out of it so that we can give the best back to who it came from. And in this way, the cycle goes for human beings to derive benefit from that which the earth is giving them to derive benefit from. But if we manipulate it for our own purposes, we will not derive the same benefit it was originally meant to give us. And this should be common sense. It's not. In fact, it's very rare. Just like organic food is looked at as somewhat more rare than that which is being produced, mass-produced with modern fertilization. But at one time, there was only organic food. Yeah. There was not the knowledge of all this. And the diseases that have been produced, the maladies that have been produced that affect the physical body since the production of these artificial fertilizers that are not created to recycle the physical body's cellular structure. That is not why they are created. They are created to make vegetables grow faster, look better, and they may have all this effect. But if we tamper with the structure that they are based upon using genetic designing to change the being, because we do not know that it is a soul the same way we are a soul, only its advancement is not as developed yet. So until humanity at large gets the understanding of the self, the understanding of the soul energy, the life force in all life, you will not have a proper understanding of his own place in life, and his own place in the eternal realm. Then what to speak of that eternal place that the soul is meant to advance to in this form that it's being given. But we are seeing the purpose of life for all these other things we want for ourselves, rather. But we need to develop God consciousness to know what kind of functions there are in this physical world for us to engage in that will enable us to enter into the eternal realm after this life. And that's what all the scriptures are pointing to. Engage in the eternal activities that function to the pleasing of the Supreme Person, and you will get the direct effect by your consciousness And then at the end of this life, by the environment, then you will be allowed to enter into. And that, my friend, will be glorious, glorious. And that, my friend, is what we are anticipating. The result of these lives, dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is going to have a far greater result than that life spent dedicated to one's satisfying the senses of the physical body. It's when the false ego is broken, the soul can manifest. And the soul, spiritually, power-wise, is greater than millions of suns. And we can barely see the sun for a moment without having to close our eyes. It would blind us.
Yeah.
So how glorious the soul is. And we have the opportunity to develop these physical bodies where the soul can manifest in forms of work that are of a spiritual nature, that give realization to the soul that takes part in it. So I have to go. Now I've gone later than I should. Oh, Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.